somewhat of a development on our push to force the Ohio General Assembly, particularly in this case, the Ohio House, into getting off their asses and fixing and wiping away the Ohio's restrictions on SBRs, suppressors, and short-barreled shotguns. We've been putting some major pressure on some of these people. As everybody knows, the vast majority of Ohio House Republicans are on the record right now and with no votes on removing these restrictions with the Freedom to Carry Act amendment vote that happened back on June 10th. Thanks to the wonderful pro-gun champion state representative Jennifer Gross and the little cabal of rock-solid conservatives in there that backstopped her. But we're going to break down this right here. For those of you, we're going to pop it up on the screen here in just a minute. But this is a letter, and again, I'm Chris Dorr. This is my our political director, Rob Nisley.
What's up, everybody?
Over there in the captain's chair today. But we're going to break down this letter. Matt Huffman at Friday at what was it, Rob? Like 4:45 p.m.
I think you're right. If that's not exactly it, I think you're real close.
Yeah, we're at the end of the week on Friday afternoon. Matt Huffman who's the Speaker of the House. He's been the #1 obstacle to passing pro-gun legislation in the entire Ohio General Assembly. He published this letter, and we put it up on our Facebook page earlier in the weekend for everybody to see. He published a letter in response to the overwhelming amount of grassroots bombardment, for lack of a better term, that Ohio House Republicans are getting right now, demanding that they end their months-long vacation and get their butts back in there before these elections.
Well, but we're not talking about just a couple months here. I mean, we're talking about what, like 5 months or something? Like almost half the year these guys are on vacation this year.
Yeah. In fact, I think the first time they come back or they're scheduled to is November 10th.
Yeah, I'm looking at the schedule right now, and they don't have anything scheduled until Tuesday, November 10th.
And the previous session day was June 10th. In other words, they've had a 5-month long. They will have had a 5-month long taxpayer-funded paid vacation where they've done nothing. So we're gonna break this down for a couple of minutes here. There's and just know this: there is an action alert pre-written email campaign set up for you guys. Rob's probably going to drop it in the comment section so you guys can contact your House member and tell them to get off their ass. We will be switching over to Senate Republicans here very shortly, but for right now, we're urging people to contact your state representative, fill this out, send it off an email, and tell them, no, we don't want you to wait until after the elections. We want you to get this fixed now. So go ahead and avail yourselves to that. It's also in the description of this video, no matter what platform you're watching on. And we're streaming right now on YouTube, on X, on Facebook. Please take advantage of that right now. If you are a gun lover, if you want to own a suppressor, you don't want to beg the ATF for permission, you don't want to go through the Form 4, you want an SBR or whatever, please take advantage of this, because right now, I want to be very clear about this, there will never be another time in the Ohio political cycle when Republicans are more responsive to you as a voter than they are right now, only weeks out from the general election in November. This is when they are listening to you the most.
Right, and after the election, they won't have to face you guys again for almost 2 more years. So
exactly.
Now is the perfect time.
Yeah. Which is why we're going to jump into this letter right now. This is from Speaker Huffman. I want you guys to listen to this letter, but I want you to listen to what's not in the letter. So this was published August 21st, late in the afternoon. It says, and it was published to the Ohio House Republican Caucus. It said, Dear House Republican Caucus members, many of us have heard from our constituents in recent days regarding a decision in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas regarding firearm suppressors. And boy, is that an understatement. You don't see a Speaker of the House condescend to the peons level. These guys truly think they know better than you and that you work for them. But he says, we've been hearing from our constituents about this. And then he goes through a summary of what the Texas ruling means. And then he says, This issue, listen to this. He says, this issue has fortunately received legislative consideration in the form of two bills, both of which are before the Ohio House today. In other words, he's admitting that they haven't done their job already and proactively fixed this. There's bills alive in the House. He says one is House Bill 331, sponsored by Representatives Tex Fisher and Kelly Dieter. The other is companion legislation. Those two sent that legislation over to the Senate to Kyle Kaler's office, and they asked him to sponsor it. And they said the companion legislation is Senate Bill 214. And then they said Senate Bill 214 passed the Senate earlier this year by a vote of 31-1. That's how you know this is non-controversial, Rob, when the vast majority of Senate Democrats voted for this already.
Right.
That's how you know you haven't gone far enough.
I think even people like Casey Weinstein even supported this.
Or maybe he was the one no vote. I guess I'd have to go look at that vote
That's
and
true.
see what it was. But it passed the Senate earlier this year by a vote of 31-1 and has received multiple hearings in the House Public Safety Committee in preparation for a committee vote on the bill. What he's not admitting right there is that he did not allow it out of Public Safety Committee, where they've been stopping all of the pro-gun bills at the behest of the Speaker and with the conspiracy of State Representative Cindy Abrams. So last paragraph here, and then we'll get into some commentary. He says, several of you have reached out expressing a desire to pass this legislation when the House resumes voting sessions. That's going to be very important.
Yep.
He says, I agree wholeheartedly. Based on my discussions with Chair Abrams and several members of our caucus, I believe there's ample support for passage of this bill. And given the recent Texas court decision, passage now becomes even more appropriate. I thank you all for your consideration and urge your support. So, number one, I despise it when legislative leadership waits until a court ruling comes out in order to get direction. It's literally the political embodiment of a politician sticking their finger in the air and trying to figure out which way the political winds are blowing.
Yeah, not just that, but they're totally just delegating and obfuscating their responsibility to the judicial branch, even though they are the ones responsible for passing law and enacting law.
Yeah. And the important backstop here, as a way of catching up for a second, we have already had a vote on this fix back on June 10th. The Freedom to Carry Act by Representative Jennifer Gross and many other co-sponsors fixed this problem specifically by breaking that connection, Ohio's dependence on federal definitions under the NFA. So the most important thing I want to draw your attention to here now is the first sentence of his last full paragraph there. He says, several of you have reached out expressing a desire to pass this legislation when the House resumes voting sessions. Folks, Rob just said it a second ago, but they are not coming back into voting session until November 10th. The elections are November 3rd. Tuesday, November 3rd of this year. In other words, what he's telling you very specifically is that we are not going to try to fix this until after the elections. And if there has ever been a time, and we can dissect this from multiple angles, but first and foremost, because of the nature of the election that we're facing in November, there has never been a better time for the General Assembly to go and prove to the voters and give them a reason why they should actually go and vote for this for this or that candidate. Right now, you have all of these Republicans on record, people like Heidi Workman, people like Demetrio, Andrea White, Steve Demetrio. You have these Republicans on record as voting no on the very thing they're trying to tell you, that if you reelect them, they're going to come back and pass it after the election. So
have you ever heard that before, folks?
Yeah. You vote us in so that we can do our jobs, the ones that we promised to do last time, but actually didn't, and joined the Democrats to vote no when we had the opportunity. it's hard for me. I mean, there's so many. There's a lot to talk about here still, but it's hard for me to convey to people how politically disingenuous this is when a speaker tells you, "Don't trust the actions that I've taken or directed my caucus to take so far. Don't look at the actual physical votes of what we've done so far in killing this fix. We want you to instead focus on the promise of what we will do further down the road after the elections."
Yeah, after we have already asked you to pull the lever at the polling booth. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like any other campaign promise, you know. It's
yeah. On the totem pole of political sincerity, their actual votes are at the very base.
oh yes,
They're at the very bottom. They underline everything. That's the foundation upon which you can judge the character of a state representative or a legislative candidate. If they've voted no, that is as concrete as it possibly gets in advance of a gun voter making their decision if they want to go and reelect them. What he's sitting here saying is, don't hold us accountable for what we did. We want you to go and vote for us because of what we're promising to do.
right.
Yeah,
It's like, and if you take him, at his word, how does it benefit him? I mean, how does it benefit Matt Huffman and the Republican caucus if you just take him at his word and say, "Yes, Mr. Speaker, you know, I will believe you, and I will go and do as you've told me." You know, how does it benefit him if you do that? If you don't keep his feet to the fire,
yeah. In other words,
you know?
he's weaponizing this to become a total political game to try to get you to come out and vote for him, even though he's already got a no vote on the board
Right.
with so many of his other fellow Republican colleagues. Um, So it is our firm conviction. Let's talk about timelines here for a couple of minutes because in the political reality, I've been talking with people for weeks now who are very concerned about what the outcome of these November elections look like, both nationally and in state legislatures all across the country. And in Ohio, particular, um, the winds are not generally blowing in a favorable direction right now. You have so many voters who are angry about so many things, Rob. Like
Right.
what? Just go through the list of things people are ticked off about right
Well, yeah, I
now.
mean, it's like, you know, our property taxes have skyrocketed out of control. I mean, we're talking about data centers going in everywhere, buying up huge tracts of land, reducing property values. We're talking about even you go buy a couple bags of groceries at the grocery store and you're looking at, you know, it would make you blush, you know, when you look at your grocery receipt. Um, you know,
Yeah.
and wars, you know, and just like all kinds of stuff that's happening that just make that you just look at it and you scratch your head and you're like, how do we get here? Why are we here? What are we doing about it? You know? Um,
Yeah, and so we can't sit here and know with any kind of certainty of what is going to happen on November 3rd. And but that can have a huge impact on what happens on November 10th when they
yeah,
come back in. A lot of times, let's say God forbid Lion Amy Acton becomes the governor of Ohio. Well, if she becomes governor, that means a lot of down ballot stuff got wiped right out. People like
right.
Andrea White won't be back. People like Cindy Abrams are in jeopardy. People like Heidi Workman's seat are very much in play in this election cycle. Steve Demetrio, and the presumption that if some of these people who lost their general election are going to come back in for a lame duck session when they've already lost, they know they're not coming back in November, but they're being called back, or they know they're not coming back in January, but now they have to be here for lame duck during November and December. There's no guarantee whatsoever that some of these anti-gun rhinos are going to sit there and cast pro-gun votes in a lame duck session for something as major and substantial as removing Ohio's restrictions on NFA items.
Right.
There's no guarantee whatsoever on that. In fact, I think you'd see people like Cindy Abrams and Andrea White and Heidi Workman and Steve Demetrio and quite a few others. In fact, I would see the potential, and we've seen this in previous elections where they just check out. They're like, nah, I'm done. I'm not even coming back to Columbus for these
Yep.
things. And then you have a real problem. You have a real problem because then the outcome of those votes is not a sure thing whatsoever. So punting this kicking this can down the field until after the elections is, number one, a slap on gun owners' faces, but number two, it is very much jeopardizing the effort to fix this stuff. In a worst case scenario, when somebody like Lion Amy Acton could potentially become the next governor of Ohio. So
Right, and not only that, Chris, but I mean, let's say they do, hypothetically pass it in November. I mean, wouldn't that still not go into a well? It would have to be passed by the Senate also,
yep,
in
yep.
in an amendment or a session to consider the House amendments. But would it not go into effect for like 3 months or something even after that if there's no emergency clause?
Well, yeah, and first of all, then you have to overcome Governor DeWine.
Yeah,
Okay. And as many gun bills as we've put on his desk, this guy is out. After December 31st, that guy is done. Actually, it might be a few days later. I don't know exactly, Rob, the answer to that, but he's
yeah,
done.
yeah.
His political career is over. There's no leverage by which to force Mike DeWine to sign a piece of legislation like this. And so then all of a sudden you're looking at a situation where, oh my gosh, we barely got this out of the House and now he vetoes it. And now we got to try to cobble together the votes for a veto
Yeah, and we're
override.
talking about in the span of like just a couple weeks, maybe
Yes.
a couple weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because what I've been told is that they want to adjourn sine die. They don't want to come back after December 16th. That's what I've been
Yeah.
told. They don't want to do session in that week between Christmas and New Year. They want to be done, out of there, adjourn sine die, and not come back again until the new 137th General Assembly opens up. So this is a totally politically risky move that Matt Huffman is trying to orchestrate here. Number one, he's slapping you in the face, saying,
Yep.
we suckered you once. Let's see if we can sucker you twice. He's trying to leverage this for gun voters to turn out in November. And then he's jeopardizing the entire operation by kicking this thing into lame duck, where the outcome is totally unsure at this point.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely clear because let's think about this for a second. I think the fact that he even well, I don't even think leaked is the right word, but released it to the public is a sign that this is totally a voter mobilization operation.
Of course.
Because that memo could have been easily just circulated internally among all the members. Like, they could have just sent an internal memo saying, here's our plan for this issue.
Well, and a lot of times that's how he operates, right?
Yeah.
He issues it to the Republican caucus
Yeah.
so that they can turn around and go out to their districts and say, oh, look, see, my relationship with the speaker is working. He's heard my request from my district, and look at our benevolent dictator, how wonderful this is. But the whole thing reeks of a total disregard for political reality, for the rights that they're supposed to be working to defend there. And it's a total slap in the face. Another thing I want to point out here, and this is major. Nowhere in this bill does he refer to the entire enchilada, as it
Right.
were. As everybody knows, the federal ruling applies not just to suppressors, but also to short-barreled shotguns and short-barreled rifles.
Right.
Right now in Ohio, if you have a pistol-braced AR, it classifies as a pistol, and you can carry it under your CHL or permitless carry or whatever you want to do. But under this, if he passes it, that's still the only thing that you can do. You cannot have a regular buttstock on a short-barreled rifle. What he's saying here is, no, we're only going to deal with suppressors. We're not going to deal with short-barreled rifles or short-barreled shotguns. Well, I don't know about you, Rob, but when I see the world falling apart all the time on the cultural deconstruction is happening in front of our eyes. I
Yeah.
want to be able to have a short-barreled rifle with a real buttstock on it, set up properly to defend myself and my family.
Absolutely.
What Huffman here is saying, no, we're not going to do that. And that's instantly the feedback we started hearing from our friends in the General Assembly saying, yeah, Huffman, if you guys force Huffman into this situation, he's not going to do short barrel rifles. Well, that's another reason why we need to ramp up our
Yep.
efforts right now and demand that they get off their butts and back into Columbus and fix this once and for all. This cannot just go through as a suppressor bill. That's ridiculous. We just got rulings out of this, and from what I've been told, there is another ruling that might be coming out of our district. I think it's the 7th, that would directly affect Ohio very shortly.
Yeah.
So this has to get fixed now before the freaking elections, so that we are not jeopardizing this, so that we have the opportunity to try to create a political environment where if Governor DeWine vetoes this legislation, that we have the opportunity still before the elections to override his veto while we have a legislature and candidates who are desperate to try to prove to you that they're worthy of your vote. Again,
Yep.
you have all of these Republicans right now who are on record voting no on this exact fix right here. And our fix didn't just include suppressors, it included SBRs and short-barreled shotguns as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
and the other thing I was thinking about too, Chris, is this might be just a huge bone to the Prosecuting Attorneys Association and folks like Michael O'Malley that we talk about all the time on this
for sure.
program.
Yeah, for sure.
Because can you imagine a system where suppressors are taken care of, no Form 4, but then you have someone in Cleveland or Columbus or any of these big cities, and and they think they're good to go. They take their AR pistol and they put a stock on it. And then all of a sudden now they've got these prosecutors have grounds now to go find these people and charge them with felony crimes.
Right.
All because
Right.
Matt Huffman and the rhinos in Columbus didn't do their jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the political gestalt switch that is happening here. Gestalt switch is like, that classic image of a duck and you rotate it like 90 degrees and it's like a witch or something, like, or a rabbit. Yeah, a duck, right? That's what they're doing here. They're like, oh yeah, if you vote for us, we'll come back and we'll fix this, but we're only going to do so much. We're not going to do what we told you we're going to do.
Right.
So that's like John Wemmer says here. He says classic rope-a-dope, and the dopes here would be gun owners for sitting here believing them. Again, these are the same people who campaigned in 2024. You vote for us, we'll legislate from a conservative pro-gun perspective. Well, they haven't done anything conservative. And they have been blocking all of the pro-gun bills in the House Public Safety Committee at the behest of the Speaker for this entire time.
Yep.
Freedom of Carry Act, the Second Amendment Protection Act, the Ohio Self-Defense Act. The 3 major gun bills have been blocked by this very Speaker. In fact, they voted no on the Freedom to Carry Act, and they're sitting here now telling you, don't believe what we did, believe what we are telling you. Believe our political promises. If you vote for us, we'll go out and finally do our jobs that we said we would do back in 2024. The whole thing is a total slap on the face. Yeah, I see that Rob has the link right there in the comment section for you guys to take advantage of. We're urging everybody to contact your House members right now. You will see that the pre-written email is geared towards urging them to come back into session before November 3rd's elections and get this fixed now.
Yep, and it gets routed right directly to your representative. So it's a really, really neat tool.
Yeah. And Rob, you touched on this a minute ago, but the timeline here is it's getting extended. Okay. So what is today's date? It's like the August 24th, right?
24th, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So August 24, 2, 3. I mean, they're already punting this 2.5 months down the road. Let's say they get it done before they adjourn sine die on the 16th. And of course, they never, ever, ever pass gun legislation before a deadline. Generally, A gun bill is generally the very last piece of legislation that they vote on in a General Assembly, if they vote on gun legislation at all, which means after December, if they adjourn, if they vote this thing out for the final time on December 16th, and they've adjourned sine die, if Governor DeWine vetoes the legislation, first of all, Governor DeWine has 10 days, I think it is, right, Rob?
Yeah, I
He
think
has
it is.
10
I think,
days.
and I don't think that includes Sundays, right?
Correct. I think
Yeah.
it's 5 legislative days.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a prohibition on Saturdays, so I think it includes Saturdays.
Okay.
But let's say 10 days, so you got 7. So like Governor DeWine could technically veto this on Christmas or the day after, or maybe Monday the 28th. And if they've adjourned sine die, there's no way to come back and override his veto.
Yep.
Do you understand
Well, and
what's going on here?
dare I say that perhaps if they did that, it could be by design. I mean,
Of
it could be.
course. Of
They could be.
course.
They could be thinking, "Hell, we're going to really rope a dope everybody and tell them we're going to do it, and then we know full well it's going to get vetoed, and then we're going to say, oh, we can't do anything about it. It got vetoed. Sorry."
Yeah.
And they could have done it in September.
And then we're sitting here
Yeah.
looking like the retards because
Right.
we believe them again. And that's what we've been trying to pound into everybody's head. This is what the moderate quisling rhino Republicans and their fan clubs in their political access based friendship, this is the stuff they will never tell you. And this is the stuff that OGO has always focused on. These people use procedural rules which they write to totally screw you and me over. You want to know why nothing good can just be to just happen nicely in the Ohio General Assembly? It's because these people can write the rules so that they can control the process to provide maximum political benefit for themselves and screw you over in the process.
Yep.
So the way Matt Huffman is laying this out right here, right now, if he wants to, he can totally screw over gun owners, and he can do it while convincing you to go out and vote for him in the meantime.
Yep.
That makes us the idiots if we sit here and take people like him at his word when he's already proven through his actions that he's willing to screw you over. Because that's exactly what he did. It's exactly what Heidi Workman did. It's exactly what Steve Demetrio did. It's exactly what all these rhino Republicans did back on June 10th when they joined the Democrats and voted no on erasing Ohio's restrictions on SBRs and suppressors. That's it. That's it in a nutshell right there. Let's say best case scenario, Rob, since we're doing theory here. Let's say best case scenario. They're still punting this down the road to start this process 2.5 months from now. And then let's say Governor DeWine vetoes it and they come back and by some miracle override his veto. That still, Rob, puts enactment 90 days out from that point.
Right.
Which means
that's probably
we're
almost
well
March
into
of
March.
next year. Yeah.
Yeah. We're into March, best case scenario. End of March, early April. We could have another federal court ruling in between then and now that totally blows the door open for this. And I've seen several federal court cases where it's not restricted to the plaintiff only. We could be sitting here right now and creating legal nightmares for people who just simply want to go out and go through the 4473 format and start laying these things in. And again,
well, and this is also assuming, Chris, that they actually have, because let's also keep in mind that Senate Bill 214 as written only addresses suppressors. So even all this very hypothetical stuff here only applies to suppressors. You know, that as it currently sits, it wouldn't do anything for SBRs or SBSs at all. Nothing.
Right. Which is why, you know, the amendment that has to be drafted up to both Senate Bill 214 and any other piece of legislation that they might conceivably pass, it has to be amended with Freedom to Carry Act language.
Yes.
It has to be. Which is why we put that in the Freedom to Carry bill in the first place, because if the feds are removing restrictions on getting SBRs, then Absolutely. We want as many Ohioans to go out and buy SBRs as they can get their freaking hands on.
Yes.
Because these are awesome tools to tell communist tyrants to go blank themselves. Okay? We want that in this legislation. And then we're right back to the rest of the Freedom to Carry Act, Rob, because
Yeah.
because then you could have this situation where you have all of these SBRs in circulation finally, and you'd still be prohibited from carrying them loaded in your vehicles.
Right. And yet again, here we are again with more traps that the politicians have set up for gun owners to allow prosecutors like Michael O'Malley to lock you up and give you felony charges.
Yeah. Yep.
Terrible.
So and this is this is literally the reason why we wrote the Freedom to Carry Act legislation the way we did. All of this is comprehensive. And so when you like if a surgeon is going in to fix a patient that's on his table and they have a tumor, when they're in there and they're excising the tumor and they see other tumors, you're supposed to go ahead, confer about it for a minute, and then likely remove those tumors too. It's a comprehensive dealing with the patient. That's exactly what Ohio gun owners deserve. They don't deserve this piecemeal
Right.
crap where they're
They
saying,
also
"Oh,
don't
we're only
take
going to do suppressors."
Yeah, they also don't take out half the tumor and leave the other half and say, "Well, that's all I
Right.
can do for you right now. You talk to me in a few months, and then maybe we'll take the rest of it out." You know, that's
Right.
basically what people like Matt Huffman are trying to sell you on right now. Is
Right.
give us a few months and we'll take half the tumor out.
Yeah. And
So
that is that is the way Ohio House corrupt establishment leadership has operated for decades. They're like, okay, let's not give them what they deserve. Let's not give them what they voted for, like the Democrats do, by the way. The Democrats, they get the majority, they go all in, they get everything.
Yep.
Let's not do that to them. Let's only give them a tiny little bit. Let's convince them, well, hey, at least they're taking a step in the right direction, right? Let's let them feel good. And that way we have more things to campaign on in the next cycle. We can convince them to come and vote for us because we're not those nasty Democrats, and we can offer them one more bobble.
Yep.
That's why OGO's bills have never been bobble bills. We construct them because they comprehensively fix a major issue that gun owners are facing. And and that's exactly what people like Huffman are fighting against. That's what he's trying to create, this environment right here that totally maximally benefits him and his reelection chances as Speaker of the House, and screwing you over in the process. That's what's going on here.
Always.
Always. And we could dive into this here just a little bit deeper. The fact that House Bill 331 by Tex Fisher and Kelly Dieter, that thing has been sitting in the House Public Safety Committee. That's a suppressor only bill. It's the companion bill to Speaker Huffman's bill. That's been bottled up and blockaded in the freaking House Public Safety Committee since it was introduced. Because why? Tex Fisher is the bill sponsor. Tex Fisher is the sponsor on the Second Amendment Protection Act. Tex Fisher would not sit there and say that Cindy Abrams is just all that and a bag of chips on the Second Amendment, because she's blocking all of the gun bills in her committee. You see how this game is played? That's what's going on here.
Yep.
So
I just want to throw this up a minute, Chris, here.
Yeah.
We have Old Vet B here on X that just said, I just emailed. I just want to say thank you for taking action. And I hope the rest of you guys will hit that link that's in the comment section right now, no matter where you're watching, and hit that link and tell your state representative basically what we've been talking about. Cut the crap, come back into session, fix this ASAP. So thank you. Thank you for taking
here's
it.
actually another great comment. I'm going to pop this one up here. I don't know if anybody can see it or not. Did it show? There it is. Okay. So William says, so if the ATF won't process Form 4s for SBRs and SBSs and suppressors, does it get a de facto ban in Ohio?
Good
That's a
question.
very interesting question. And I was talking about this with some guys from my church the other night. They're like, okay, with these state restrictions in place, what happens if a Democrat administration wins in 2028 and they decide that they're going to shut down the ATF Form 4 process altogether? And I said, well, that would be an excellent way for them to totally ban the sale of suppressors and SBRs in a lot of different states. And so, yes, William, the answer to your question is for all future purchasers of suppressors and SBRs, if an anti-gun administration ever shuts that process down entirely, yes, it becomes a ban, and you cannot buy those things legally because of Ohio's restrictions. So, I hope this is, I mean, there's a lot of different roads here. There's a lot of different information flows. There's a lot of different arms and legs to this entire topic, but I hope this makes sense for all of you. By postponing the date until after the elections, Speaker Huffman is basically, and on behalf of the rhinos who joined him on June 10th and voted no on fixing this, he's hoping to con you into voting for your local Republican candidate, even though they may have voted no on this very exact fix already,
right,
into rewarding them with another term. And then he's jeopardizing the entirety of it by punting this thing into lame duck. He's opening up the chance for Governor DeWine to veto this legislation, and he might do it at a time when there's no opportunity for the Ohio legislature to even come back and override his veto.
Right, and he's jeopardizing the fact that if we do it before the election, there's probably a greater than not likelihood that we could actually get this as an emergency measure and actually get the votes to pay. And that's, what is that, 60 votes? Is that 60?
Yeah, 60 votes.
Yeah, to get an emergency. So that way we can get this enacted even quicker.
Yeah, it then becomes enacted the moment the governor either signs it or doesn't sign it and lets 10 days pass by. Yeah. Or it becomes effective if the governor vetoes it and the General Assembly comes back and overrides his veto. And there's, again, I want to be very clear about this. There is no guarantee that Governor DeWine signs this thing. We worked very hard to get permitless carry on his desk before his 2022 re-election campaign. Same with Stand Your Ground law, repealing duty to retreat. We worked very hard to get that to happen because we were leveraging the hell out of the fact that John Husted was obviously campaigning to succeed Governor DeWine as the governor of Ohio. We were able to use that political situation to our maximum advantage. That situation does not exist anymore. Does not exist. There is nothing with which to get leverage over the governor. And I'll just say this too. I personally talked to Governor DeWine like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I said, you know what? You signed a few of our bills over the years, and we're going to try to get one more on your desk. And he's like, we'll have to see. That was his personal words to me in person. Okay, so that wasn't a carte blanche. Yeah, let's do it. That was we'll have to see.
Right.
So we're in a really tenuous position here when it comes to getting this job done, and that's where you guys come in, and that's what we're asking you guys to do. It's never been about me and my conversations with these people. Some of them hate my guts. Rob, they hate you too by extension.
Oh, I'm sure they do. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it.
Honestly, they'd hate Rob a whole lot more if they all knew that Rob was the actual political knifer around here. But it's always been about you guys. All right. So that's why we're asking OGO Nation to fire up your emails and get in contact with your state reps. And I want to clear up something. We were talking about emergency sessions in the sense that this is an emergency for gun owners.
Sure.
We're not calling for a special session here What we're
Right.
talking about is the speaker. The speaker has the authority right now to put a session date on the calendar and recall the legislature, the House of Representatives, and say, get back here. We're going to do this. We don't have
Right.
to, we don't need the governor's approval. He doesn't, the Governor DeWine doesn't need to call a special session for this. The speaker has the power to do it right now. So we're not asking for a special session or a special emergency session. We're just saying, do your damn job. That's it.
Right.
Do your damn job. So that's what the pre-written email link is all about. We want you guys to be putting your state reps on notice. You guys are a bunch of you anyway are on record voting no on this legislation, on this fix. It's incumbent upon you to lean on the speaker and say, hey, Speaker Huffman, you're getting paid $110,000, $120,000 a year to do your job. I know we all appreciate the 5-month long paid vacation that you've promised us, but honestly, it's probably better if we go back into session and fix this thing right now while we have the time to ensure maximum potential for this thing to get across the finish line.
Yes.
So you guys are the power behind Ohio gun owners. That's it. Straight up, always has been. So we're asking you guys to get in on this fight right now. And I don't even care if you don't own a suppressor. Maybe you don't even want one. First of all, if you don't want one, go to your local range and rent a Taurus TX22 with a can on it. You're gonna want
Oh my
one
gosh.
after that.
So fun. So fun.
You're gonna want one after that, and they're not even that expensive. You're gonna love it. First of all, the Taurus TX22 is an amazing little pistol. It runs the dirtiest 22 ammo you can throw at it. It's not nearly as I have a Ruger Mark III. It's not, I mean, that thing is so picky about what ammo you run through it. But the Taurus TX22 with one of those little Q suppressors on it, oh my goodness, they're so much fun. But the point is, even if you don't own these things, even if you don't want an SBR someday, maybe you're happy with your pistol AR or maybe whatever, maybe you're into hunting and fishing and outdoors stuff. This isn't just about the here and now. Nobody can sit here and say that they love the direction our country is going morally, culturally. Nobody can sit there and say that things are looking so much better 10 years from now than they were when we grew up.
Right.
I'm an 80s and 90s baby, Rob. You're probably a little younger than that, huh?
Oh yeah, I was
You're
a 90s kid through and through.
Yeah. Yeah. But that world's gone. And the Democrats, I mean, we've been living under socialism for quite a while now with all the wealth transfers, the trillions of dollars. I think it was 2011 was the first year where America crossed the threshold for annual welfare payments to the welfare state. 2011 was the first year it was $1 trillion in a single year, and it has never dropped below $1 trillion a year since then. So we've been living under socialism for the last, 16 years, 15 years. Okay, what we're watching right now is a cultural shift from socialism to now they've used and weaponized the welfare state in conjunction with their funding of the education system, so that they've cranked out so many libtards and retards now that they're going to go for the entirety of communism.
Yep.
Okay, so even if these things aren't expressly in your wheelhouse as far as what you're interested in, I get it. But please look down the road 5 years, 10 years from now. Look at your kids, look at your grandchildren, and just know that our founding fathers were spot on when they codified the Second Amendment in the Bill of Rights as the ultimate insurance program against tyranny. During the lockdown years, Rob, we watched many politicians in America become full-throated tyrants.
You're
So we
absolutely
can't
right.
sit here and make the claim that America is above these temptations that are as old as humankind. All power is corrupting always or all the time. How does that phrase go? I mean, I don't trust anybody.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Something like that.
Yeah. These people are not immune. Look at how Ohio Republicans themselves operate right now. I mean, in so many areas of life, people feel at this very moment. We just said this in our email that we put out a little bit ago. People feel like the political class is so in bed with the donor class and these global homo companies that they feel like they're being milked like cows
Yeah.
for their resources, for their land, for our state resources. They feel like they don't have a seat at the table, that all these decisions are being made by the political class in conjunction with these massive companies that are in many ways just enriching themselves. So I'm
Yeah.
asking everybody, please don't treat this issue lightly. The Second Amendment is the insurance program that our founding fathers wrote for us. It works beautifully. I mean, look at all these other countries across the globe where these governments have been allowed, because their people don't have the means with which to fight back. These governments have been allowed to destroy the very fabric of their countries through their immigration policies. Look at this stuff. Look what's happening in France and England and all these different countries across Europe. Look what's happening in Ukraine right now. They're bringing in Africa into Ukraine in droves. They would do it here and get away with it if we have no ability to defend and protect ourselves.
Right.
That's what this is all about.
And the way that I see it, Chris, and maybe you guys out there will view it this way too, but the politicians, the political class have been taking pounds of flesh from our gun rights for almost 100 years.
Yeah.
This is our time to take a pound of flesh back. This is our time. I mean, because we have this ruling, like Chris said, there's other pending court cases right now in the 7th District Court on this very issue. The iron is hot. It's time to strike. This is our chance.
Yes. Yep. So please click that link and take action right away, now, today, and help us ratchet up the pressure on House Republicans to reconvene before the November elections, increase their chances. Incidentally, this is a political analysis, not an endorsement, but it would vastly increase their chances for some of these Republicans to get reelected, because as it stands right now, as a gun rights organization, we can't sit there and lie to our members in these districts and gun voters in these districts and try to convince them that candidate X, Y, or Z are pro-gun when they are on the record voting no on making Ohio a concealed weapons license state, when they voted no on removing Ohio's restrictions on SBRs and suppressors. We can't do it. We can't do it. It's like they said in that movie 300, his knees just don't bend like that. His knees, nah, not us.
Right.
Can't do it.
We will never represent the political class to you. We always I'm sorry, we've been on this so long.
You were right, brother.
Yeah,
we will never represent the political class to you.
Yes.
We will only ever fight for you to them.
Yes.
We'll represent you to them.
Sorry,
that's the way
my brain twisted up.
Yeah, that's no, your brain twisted still in on the right thing, by the way. But be like Chum here. I like your name, Chum, by the way. That's my brother right there.
I love it.
Be like Chum, and send that email, because that's the only thing that wins here, right? John.
Yeah, the strength of Ohio gun owners isn't us two guys right here. It's not Chris. It's not me. It's all you guys watching. That's the strength of Ohio gun owners.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the name of the game here, folks. That's the name of the game. If these people want to try to stand out from their from their opponents who would have voted the exact same way. Again, I hate to have to remind everybody of this, but when Speaker Huffman and people like Heidi Workman voted no on the Freedom to Carry Act, the Democrats in the House chambers stood up and cheered and clapped. I was there.
Yeah, when he's talking about that, he's talking about people like, what are their names, Chris? Like
Ismail Muhammad
Abdullahi or something like that.
Yeah. all
Yeah.
of these people that are invading our country, quite frankly, people like Ismail Muhammad, there's videos of him out there saying that he's working with what's her name, Ilhan Omar from Minnesota, to try to advance Somalia's agenda in the Ohio House of Representatives. That these people should not even be
That
allowed to
should be
hold office
treason.
for like 7 generations.
That should be treason, is what that
Yeah,
should be.
absolutely. But that's who people like Huffman, that's who people like Workman, that's who people like Steve Demetrio, that's who they joined with to vote no on the Freedom to Carry Act, and the Democrats cheered them. So we can't, as a gun rights organization, sit here and pretend that these people are pro-gun. No, your actions speak louder than words, and in politics, the words that come out of a politician's mouth aren't worth shit.
Yeah. And then
Is
that's
that right?
exactly, just to bring it all home, and that's exactly what Matt Huffman's asking you right now, to take his words and go and do,
Yep.
based on his word alone, even when his actions say otherwise.
Yep. The political beatings will continue until action improves with Ohio House Republicans. So, folks, you guys are the muscle that is going to make this happen. So take action. Be watching this Facebook page in your email boxes for more action alerts in the very near future. We have a whole nother trick up our sleeves to try to force this to get moving, but we need you guys fired up and taking action. So thank you very much for watching. Please share this video with everybody you know, and gear up for a